What's up, guys? Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand podcast. This week, I have my friend Jared Solomon from 5 Iron Golf. Today, we're going to talk about their growth. If 5 Iron Golf, if you're in a big city, you probably have a 5 Iron Golf in your location. If not, you probably will be soon. And we're talking about their growth and where they're going. And I'm really kind of excited to have them on the show because I think this is a really cool market that's coming to everybody now. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. Excited to be here.
So, where are you located?
Right now, I'm in Manhattan. That's where our corporate offices are, and building out a good team here. As far as locations across the country, all the way, New York, all the way to Seattle. We just opened in India, which is really exciting. Singapore,
That's crazy.
Australia is coming. So a lot of good stuff coming domestically and internationally.
So you're based in Manhattan. Where are you in Manhattan?
Right by Grand Central. So you get off the train, across the street, up to the office. Honestly, one of the nice things about the traditional office space, I think the price is going down, and some of the subletting that's happening has been, I think, some of these younger companies saying like, I'll take some office space and go to Manhattan. So I think that could be cool for the city, which is a story for a different podcast, but something I'm excited.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, that's cool. So like I read about it like in the New York Post and stuff like that, but like I'm in Arizona, so we don't have that. It's kind of a little different, but just how the big companies, there's a lot of space right now in the city, right? A lot of companies have either moved out or are remote, or there's a lot of real estate available from what I've read.
And it's like before we could go to WeWork and spend a ton of money or something like that, or go maybe in the outskirts of the city. And even for us, we're hybrid work, but to go take office space at $70 a foot didn't make sense for us. When it's $20 a foot and you can get something that's already built out, you're like, I don't know, this is a good idea, and it's been awesome to get everyone together. And hopefully, some of these younger companies can move to the city and
it's kind of cool.
I think so.
So how far is the 5-Iron Golf from that office? Like,
there's one that we're building about a sand wedge away. So that's really close. That one's opening in October. That's our Grand Central location. Should be a good flagship there. Then we have one over on 31st and 6th for those people that know New York, which is sort of on the west side. We're down on Wall Street. Upper East Side, we just opened. So 5 locations in the city, Long Island City as well. So we have a bunch right around this area.
That's crazy. So I guess before I go into 5-Iron, like, I mean, are you a golf professional, or like, what's your deal?
No, nothing at all. I played tennis growing up, and this whole idea started, I was in the city post law school. So my wife and I went to law school in the city.
Where?
Columbia.
Oh, nice. That's a good school.
We actually
I went to law school too. I went to law school out here though. So I didn't know you were an attorney.
Where'd you go to football?
Out here, Arizona.
Nice. Well, are you practicing law these days?
No, I actually left my firm a year ago.
There you go. Well, neither of us are practicing law, so. But my wife.
Is your wife not practicing law either?
Yeah, she's our chief legal officer. But we actually went to undergrad together at Hamilton College, and then law school together at Columbia. So she's helped me get through a few different schools here at this point. But yeah, so anyway, post law school's recession, her best job opportunity was in upstate New York in Rochester, which for those aren't looking at a map, it's a plane ride away. I actually went straight to work on Wall Street right out of law school. So we were just seeing each other once a month, kind of on the weekend at best, for 2 years. And I played a lot of ping pong at this place called Spin, and started taking golf lessons indoors with this guy, Mike Doyle, who's now one of the co-founders of 5-Iron. And that's really when I started playing golf. So I'm definitely not, a traditional golfer, although I like to think that I've gotten into the sport a little more. I'm a member of a club up in Westchester here in New York, which is awesome, and I try. But no, my foundation is not golf, nor would you want me not want me to teach you how to play.
So when did you graduate law school?
Oh God, 08? Does that make sense?
Oh, right, the recession. That was like right, like I graduated law school in 13.
Yeah.
So like there was no jobs, bro. It was like, from 8 to, if anybody's a lawyer out there, 8 to 13 was some badass years for lawyers, because there was like no jobs, like, or if they were, they're like not paying jack. I mean,
it was really tough, and it was really tough, which in some ways was good for we had to get creative with what we wanted to do, which was
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you graduated law school. All right. So you grew up where? In New York?
I grew up outside of Philadelphia in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool. So then you grew up there, and then you played tennis, but you didn't play any golf, really. You didn't play golf with your dad or your grandpa or nobody. Like tennis was your sport.
Not even close. Yeah. No, I really like, I hit a couple balls in college. We had a 9-hole golf course, but that was about it. But I think the thing that excited me at the beginning, which to this day has remained true for me, and I think a lot of different people,
Yeah.
I really like the statistics and learning. So when I was learning in the city, the ability to learn on a TrackMan or a launch monitor and look at things like swing speed and club path and a lot of these different metrics were really healthy for
Early. Yeah, like really early in your lessons or career in
totally.
golf, whatever you
Because
want to call it. Yeah.
people always ask like launch monitors for experts or beginners, like does it really help a beginner? If the one thing you're looking at is hitting the ball far and straight, it's probably not going to go well for you at the beginning. So having a couple of different metrics that you can at least manipulate and feel some version of success, I think is a really powerful way of using the launch monitor and stuff. You can
Or even understanding, right? Like what all the numbers actually mean, like what's ball speed versus club head speed, and what is this, what's smash factor mean, and what's carry more than your. Yeah, I totally agree. No,
totally
that's a good point.
you can work out of your first lesson at 5-iron seeing that your swing speed went from 60 to 70, a real tangible thing. You can walk out seeing that your club path went from outside to closer to neutral. What you can't walk out of your first lesson is probably going to play at a golf course and feel like you have any type of enjoyable time. So it gives you sort of this ladder path towards improvement that I think is really appealing and helps with that sort of accessibility and everything that we're always talking about.
Yeah, I mean that's cool because like I mean most people don't go that route. I mean I would say 99% of people don't get any kind of technology until like in the last couple of years how it's gotten down in price. Then they start actually playing with it and they're like, oh, that's what that means. That's what that
Yeah,
means.
you'd be surprised though, like how in the beginner lessons and everything that we do and using even the games and everything that they have, we're going out to a real hole and saying, here's a fairway, here's a bunker. You can use it for a bunch of different ways that, I would say most of the people nowadays, at least in 5-iron locations, obviously, are using that. And I think it's a very, very appealing way to learn, even if you're just getting started.
No, that's cool. So like you got out of law school and then were you practicing law like at Wall Street or you just working on Wall Street?
No, I went to work and I didn't even know what it was. But it was actually a poker player before all of this. And I did the summer associate gig at a law firm in the city. And my mentor, who we still work with now, was kind of like, don't be a lawyer, like get into business or something, which I didn't even really know what meant. I was a philosophy major at Hamilton and didn't really know what that meant. People are like, oh, work on Wall Street or finance. There's 1,000 different ways to work in finance or on Wall Street or in business. It's not all the same, but back then I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And then I got this opportunity to work at an options market making firm on the option market making firm. So we were option market makers, stayed there for a decade, built our own company out of that, and it was a really awesome experience. And it was honestly a lot like playing poker, but same sort of thing. You're looking at a screen, a lot of statistics. So, to me, they're very similar playing poker or options market making at Wall Street. But I was one of the guys that was like waving their hands around and doing all that stuff, but kind of post that generation where instead of waving your hands, you were just doing it all behind a desk on at a computer.
It's funny because like most lawyers tell you not to be a lawyer. Have you noticed that? Like you ask a lawyer, like, oh, you should be a lawyer. Like, no, don't be a lawyer.
100% of lawyers say that. I don't know if I've met one that says they want to. Even my wife is, she struggles at times with her profession. I feel like so it's about.
But she's your guy. So is she the in-house counsel then for you guys?
She is.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So what did she do when she moved up to what was she doing like practice wise?
Was she
like
clerking for a judge? So she got that really good experience. And she clerked there for 2 years. Then she came back to the city to work.
A federal judge or a state judge?
Oh man, I'm gonna get divorced over this.
You're not. It's all right.
Let's say
like
a federal judge. Or something. Federal judge. That's the more impressive one, right? And then if it's down from there, yeah, definitely a federal judge, Paul. And I know him really, really well. No, but
He's gonna be the
I
next
don't,
Supreme Court justice.
as long as she doesn't ask what I was doing in the city for 2 years, I want to ask her what she was doing for 2 years in Rochester. But no, so she was there, and then she came back to work at a big law firm in corporate litigation in the city. So she was in doing that for a while. Then we had kids, and now she's back as our chief legal officer, which is
cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So then really, you worked on Wall Street for 10 years before that was like your job, right? You did options. So does that company still exist, or did you sell that company, or did you get out of it?
Yeah, essentially sold that company, got out of it. One of my best friends is still in that industry. It was awesome, and honestly, it was a wild story. We started it obviously while we both had jobs, 5 iron, and you never know what it's going to be, but you certainly don't think it's going to be this.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it got to the point where we had to raise private equity money. We didn't have to, but we had the option to raise private equity from this awesome private equity firm that we're still close to and is an investor in 5 iron. But as part of that deal, they're like, hey, you got to go be the full-time CEO. So I left, and that was right when the pandemic was happening. So I left probably the best couple of trading years ever to go be the full-time CEO of a company that was just going straight into COVID, which was a wild time. But honestly, no regrets about that. It's been awesome doing the CEO thing and learning how to become a CEO and learning about things like private equity and investment bankers and debt and all these kind of things that I'm sure a lot of other CEOs knew from day one. But it's for me, it's been constantly learning about a lot of these different mechanisms and all that stuff.
So when did you have the idea, or you and your friends had the idea for 5 iron, your partners?
Roughly 2015, I want to say. So I was taking lessons with this guy, Mike Doyle, in the back of a men's clothing store. The simulators were not really a thing. The largest simulator place was 3 or 4 sims in the country, really, to be honest. At that point, don't quote me on that, but at least in New York, there really wasn't a lot. And I loved it, but I also wanted a place to practice, and I also wanted a place to bring my friends and play and sort of actually play golf, because just getting out to a course, tough, expensive, all that stuff. So I got to know Mike really well, and we both had an affinity for customer service and the food and beverage side of things. I really like art, and if you still look at behind me, you get the street art a little bit and the graffiti. And he was awesome and just had that same sort of vision. And that was sort of the two people that originally had the idea. But yeah, from the beginning, we wanted to be a place for the serious golfer as well as the entertainment type person. And I think that's remained fairly consistent to this day. Our biggest fear back then was the Wingfoot member or the Westchester Country Club member or the Balthus Row member. They're not going to like 5 iron because the music's on and there's graffiti and this and that. And at the end of the day, we've learned that they're going to be our best customers. If you have a good product on the golf side and good food and beverage, they're going to be there. And
All the time,
all
right?
the,
Especially
all the time.
yeah, especially with your locations. It's like they don't even want to be work. They want to be at the golf course, and they don't want to drive out of the city.
Totally. It's changing now how people perceive golf, but back then, as if it's so long ago, you'd really heard people talk about this golfer who's the serious golfer who, in my mind, needed a maroon couch and green walls, or they just simply couldn't enjoy the experience and it needed to be silent and they needed to wear pants. And then there was this entertainment type person who's just wildly different. In reality, it's just not true, right? Like, just because you care about your game or you want to practice at 6 a.m. or you want to go play at a fancy club doesn't mean you also don't like a 5 iron or a top golf type experience. And there are more of those people than there are people that are in, just the serious golfer category, whatever that means.
I mean, it's. I would agree. I mean, I think like the stereotype. Well, the stereotypical golfer has changed in the last 5 years too. Like and that's not because of COVID. I mean, COVID helped a lot of it, I think, but I also think it was already starting to happen. 2018, when hip hop started coming into golf and NBA players are coming into golf, and I think it really sort of opened up the game to a lot of other people, and I think the stereotypical player is not. I mean, we have clubs out here, like fancy clubs or whatever, but like I don't play those courses. Like I play like summer rates when it's cheap, and I'll play a nice course if a buddy of mine can get us in. But I think a lot of people are like that too. I'd rather go play I want to go play. I don't want to like spend a ton of money on it.
Totally. Even at some of the fancier clubs, I mean, you're seeing it. Like, go watch the Masters. They're wearing hoodies right at Augusta. At my club, like that I joined 5 years ago, you couldn't wear a hoodie. Now they sell the hoodies in the pro shop, right? Now, so some of those old rules are very much changing, and they're changing because it's become a lifestyle sport. Like if you see Justin Thomas and Rory playing with Justin Timberlake, who like it's great for golf. It opens up way more people are interested in that and having a good time than the people that just want to, play around in 3 hours and 15 minutes and follow all these rules and wear a jacket all the time. And like, it's just the next generation of people, even at the nicest clubs, like there just isn't a huge audience of people saying like, oh yeah, I really want to wear a jacket everywhere. Right. So it's just, I think it's changing. And
Dude, one time I was wearing, like, no joke. Okay. So like in one of my YouTube videos, I was reviewing something, and I have a t-shirt on like this, like a Travis Matthew t-shirt, right? And somebody like wrote a comment, some of the effect of like, "Oh, you're just a typical new golfer guy. We like, I can't believe you're wearing a t-shirt in your videos. Like, you should be wearing like a polo." And I was like, "Bro, what are you, 1,000 years old? Like seriously? Like, I'm like, okay, Gramps. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, okay, I'm supposed to wear a polo in a YouTube video for what reason? Like, golf is not like that anymore. Like, I don't know. Whatever.
I had a pro who was like, yeah, I think everyone here should be wearing like pants all the time when they play. I'm just like, but why? Like, why do you care? Why do you care what pants they're wearing?
I got another story. So my buddy's a pro at a course, and I was gonna shoot a YouTube video over there like 2 years ago, and I had like shorts on and golf shoes, but I had a shirt like this. Like, I don't care. It's my video. Let me do what I want. And he's like, "Look, I can't let you on the course." And I'm like, "What do you mean you can't let me on the course?" He's like, "You need a polo shirt on." I was like, "You're joke." Like, I'm like, "You're serious, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm being serious." I'm like, "This isn't even a private course." It's like, why? He's like, he's like, "You have to." So I freaking went in the pro shop. I go buy a polo, which didn't have my size. So I bought like a double XL. It was like a big ass dress, and it was humongous. It was the only size they had because they like no polos that were like all smalls and stuff. And I was like, "Really, dude? Like, come on."
One of my most, and this is, I'm not saying this inspired 5-iron, but one of my most formative experiences as a kid, I was like, I don't know, 13. I guess I was older than that because I was driving. So 17 or something like that, playing in a tennis tournament. And I started tennis late, but practiced pretty hard. It was decent. I was a decent junior, I would say. I went to this tournament, and they weren't going to let me play unless I had a white polo. And I couldn't believe it. So I was like really flustered and called my dad. And like at that point, the $65, whatever it was, like I didn't have $65. Your kid and whatnot.
Kid. Yeah, you don't have money.
I obviously, like, we figured it out. I played the tournament, but like that situation was just so off-putting and so intimidating. And I was like, man, I just don't want golf to be that. And it's obviously come a long way for sure.
No, I think I would agree. I think it's already starting to change, like about 15, 16, 17. It was starting to, and then I think COVID just like pushed it over the top. That's what I think. And I also think like Callaway got a smoking ass deal on Topgolf, right? Because they would pay like $100, they pay like $1 billion for it or something. It's worth like way more than that now. So it's like,
yeah, I think like you'll hear like even obviously Callaway got a great deal on Topgolf, but just what that company has done and 5-iron to some small extent of getting more people into golf and everything is just awesome. Topgolf obviously at that like way top of the funnel, getting people hitting their first golf balls and everything like that. But we talk about growing the game, which I know is a term that people just can't even hear anymore because it's so played out in some ways. But so much of what we see, which is awesome, which is why I'm so bullish on golf long term and some of these numbers, post COVID keeping up. So many people have 5-iron that they played in high school, they played when they were a kid, but they kind of lost it and they're in the city. Then all of a sudden they're coming to 5-iron 3-4 days a week. They play in a league. They're getting way back into being consumers of golf. So you get someone who's like casually interested in other things to do, to completely.
It's the future. Yeah, it's completely the future. Like, I mean, in the last 2 years, I've probably done close to 40 YouTube videos on launch monitors, right?
Yeah.
And even the leaps and bounds in launch monitors have gone so far in 2 years, and the price has come down so much. It's like it's changing the game because like you can build a simulator in your garage or your basement or whatever for not that much money. You know, it might not be the fanciest one. Who cares? It does the job.
Totally.
And then
It's also the kind of thing where I'm not saying 5-iron is more fun than playing outdoors or less fun. I'm not saying either of those things, but the technology of the launch monitors and there's a lot to a launch monitor, as you know, is only going to get better. The graphics are only going to get better. The immersive like 3D experiences are only going to get, better. Playing golf outdoors is, I'm not sure how much there is to do to that experience, right? So you have all of this technology that's going to get better and more immersive, and then you have green grass golf, kind of staying the same. And look, that's someone who really enjoys playing outdoor golf and doing it. And certainly, I was talking to someone the other day, I was comparing it to the cell phone. Like our kids, or when we grew up, you held, if you had how you hold the cell phone, you put it up to your ear,
yeah,
right?
that
Now,
flip one. I was like,
yeah.
I had a Motorola StarTAC, dude. I was
So
like, oh, we had to pull the antenna out, and then it broke. The tip broke off.
I had a beefy cell phone back in the day for sure.
Did you have a Nokia?
It was, I don't know what it was, but it looked, I mean, it had to be, a foot tall and felt like I was
Oh, you had the Zach Morris phone.
calling the moon or something like that. So, but now if you ask kids how they hold their phone, they'll put it in front of them on speakerphone, or they don't even know what you're talking about talking on the phone. I think if you ask the next generation, like my daughters, for what golf is, like it's just going to be a very different answer than like our perceptions of golf. Like that's just completely changing.
100%. So like there's a 9-hole course by my house, and like they have a summer rate. And I know these guys really well and that run it. And so they have a summer rate, and it was $200 for all you can play between now and the end of September, which is a smoking deal. Right. And then so then I'm like, well, can I bring my kids with me? I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, and they're like, oh yeah, for sure. Dude, we play golf every single day for the last 8 days. Like we go early, we go walk the 9. It's a little small executive course. My kids love it. My younger son, who's like totally addicted now, like totally addicted. He's like, I think he's better in baseball. I'm like, good. Let's get some lessons then. Let's do good.
I was listening to another podcast, and it was like the Derek Thompson Ringer podcast, plain English. Hopefully, I'm not getting this wrong, but apparently, youth golf is like the only sport that's growing. All the other youth sports are really struggling, and getting kids to play youth sports is a problem. Golf is booming, right? And that's 100% in my opinion, because it's become cool to play golf. Like when I was in middle school and high school, it was definitely not
playing golf, bro.
Not at all. Now it's cool because like Jordan Brand is a big part of it. And you're seeing, these guys have fun, and all these celebrities want to get involved in golf and things like that. And, Canelo Alvarez is flying with a swing coach around, and, it's wild what's sort of happening and how much interest it is from a lifestyle. And people always ask me, like, and probably you too, is golf here to stay, or is it? And I'm like, as long as you let people hit golf balls, like it's pretty fun. Like people forget that the reason we all started was because we hit a couple balls and thought, this is a pretty good time. And for so long, golf like tried to not let people hit balls and think of it as fun. But if it just kind of gets out of its own way, I think golf's going to be just fine.
Have you guys been? Have you guys been to the PGA show yet?
Oh yeah.
Did you guys get a booth there, or what did you guys do, or just walk the floor?
I think I was on a panel there about the future of off-course golf, or maybe it was the NGF conference. But I was on talking at it. We got a booth there for recruiting and whatnot, and we look at all the simulator companies and at meetings and all that stuff. But
yeah,
it's a cool show for sure.
So in your sims, what are you using? What do you use?
So
TrackMan?
We use TrackMan, and the way that I talk about simulators is sort of like cars. There's like
cars.
I think, yeah, like Ferrari's kind of, or TrackMan I think is like kind of the.
Well, TrackMan's like the Ferrari. Let's start there, right?
But then there's like a well-maintained Ferrari and a not well-maintained Ferrari, and I think we do a good job of like maintaining it. And then I talk about the like souped-up Ferrari, and I would say we kind of have the souped-up Ferrari. So we have our own proprietary camera system. our own computers that we build. There's a lot that goes into it. And then we build the entire simulator. They just get a lot of views. I mean, they're open from 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. a lot of the
Oh,
time.
they get a lot of abuse. I
Yeah,
mean, that
so there's a
screen is
lot
getting
of
hit all
use.
day.
Exactly. But yeah, we use TrackMan as that sort of engine. And
so is it behind the person, or are you using a camera system above your head?
no, it's behind the person.
I mean, TrackMan's accurate as hell. So I mean, it's like there's no questioning. Oh, is that right or wrong? It's like, it's right.
It's accurate. I also think, talking about these launch monitors getting cheaper and less expensive, like it's really, I think accuracy is going to get commoditized personally over the next decade. Like even the
The
cheap
experience. I think it's gonna be experience. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's going to be all about the experience and sort of the wrap. It's like everyone's going to be. These simulators are not going to get less and less accurate. They're going to get more and more accurate. Even on the like lower bargain brands. So it's going to be like leagues and events and how do you make it fun and gamify it, and how do you incorporate gambling and betting into it, and make it fun for everyone around there, and like what's the music situation. I think it's going to be more about that than it is the accuracy, which is interesting. I think it'll be really interesting to play out because so many of these brands like a TrackMan or Foresight have, number one thing, we're the most accurate, we're the most accurate, we're the most accurate. Well, eventually it's sort of like close enough that it just is not making a difference on the experience, right? Even some of the less expensive ones now, if you're a 10 handicap or a 15 handicap, like it's just not that much of a difference between a SkyTrak or something like that and a TrackMan if you're just trying to get basic numbers.
So when you guys started, so you had the idea in 15, then what happened? Were you like at a bar hanging out, or you hitting balls one day and you're like, we should just do this, or what happened?
So Catherine, my wife, was still is friends with Nora, who's our fourth co-founder. So that's sort of the core four founders. And Nora's husband was going to business school at Darden at UVA. And she was kind of like, I like this idea too. We got her excited. So, hey, why don't you, spend a couple months seeing if this is feasible. So that's everything from liquor licenses to finding real estate.
You started doing the research, right? Like to see if this is the
Totally. And
real
back then there
business.
was no franchise. Like now we have we 5 Iron have a franchise option, which would have been incredible back then. And there was just nothing like that. There was no sort of, this is what you do. There was nothing. So
You're
we
figuring it out. You're
yeah,
literally figuring it out. Like this isn't even gonna work. Number one.
totally. And then you have to deal with the Department of Health, the Department of Buildings, and the Department of Landmarks. And especially doing something in New York City, there's just a bazillion things that can go wrong even from that. So Nora sort of took the lead on all of that. We eventually found some real estate, which is still our first location. I mean, the name 5 Iron, the 5's for Fifth Avenue, Irons for the Flatiron District. That's where our first location is to this day on 19th and 5th. And yeah, we started with 4 simulators. You
had a bar.
We had a bar and we had a kitchen. We didn't know anything about unit economics. I don't even know if we knew what that term meant, but we knew that we wanted food that was good. So we interviewed a chef at our 1-bedroom tiny Manhattan apartment who brought all her stuff and cooked there. And that was like all we knew. So we hired her and we had food and a bar from day one. And
It was like finger food or like food.
No, it was food. It was food. We didn't know what we were doing. We wanted good food. So we did what we like. But yeah, flatbreads and quesadillas. I'm not saying it was, Michelin starred food, but we've always really cared about the food and making things from scratch. And
well, yeah, because of course, I would be too.
But I remember saying we had laughably good food for a golf place. So I always remember that and take it as a compliment. But
So what year did you guys open?
2017.
What month?
Oh God, no idea.
Really? Come on. Was it winter or summer?
I want to say it was like late spring, and then we went through the summer. I would stand outside with a golf club on the weekend and try to bring people up, and
You're like kind of like if they call it a sign, it'd be like, "Come on in, guys."
Yeah, I don't know if that might have been before sign spinners, but I would have been spinning a sign.
You're like going up to like upstate, and you're trying to get people to come into the city to come try it out.
Yeah, but that's what we did, and then.
How long? Like, when did you realize, like, whoa, this is legit? Like, this is really happening. Like, people like this, and we're getting people in here. Was it like right away, or was that for a couple months, or like?
I think From a business perspective, I would say when it wasn't horrible in the summer was when I was like, okay, it's not like it's still seasonal for sure, the business, and depends on the city, it can be really seasonal, but it wasn't horrible in like August. And I was like, huh, that's good. And the
Why?
people,
Because what happens in August in the city? Just people are not around, or
it's just like
what?
you go play outside, right? Like,
Oh
in
yeah, yeah.
February, you really have no other option besides 5 iron. But people really liked it, and the feedback we got was good. And from there, I'll never forget. We had a meeting kind of with the four of us and a couple early employees, and we're like, hey, we could just kind of like keep doing this one thing, or we could just and we obviously hadn't paid ourselves anything back then, right? There was no taking
Yeah, there's no
money from it. So we decided to reinvest back into it, and we opened our second location down in the financial district. So we started, with mine and Catherine's little bit of money, and kind of roll profits into those first couple locations before we brought in institutional money. And then once that happens, everything explodes.
So you had one location, and then how long before you had a second location? Like a year, 2 years?
January 2019, yeah, we opened the second location. So pretty
Oh
quickly.
shit! Like right from the beginning of COVID.
Well,
A
wait,
month
maybe that was
later.
January 2018. That location was open for about a
Oh,
year.
19's a good year. Never
Yeah,
mind. 20
19
was
was
it?
a good year, right? And then
Yeah.
we had before COVID, we had New York, we had a couple in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore was kind of that original grouping, and then we raised money, and yeah, then COVID hit, and that was a whole different
So
adventure.
but when you opened up more locations, was that before or after private equity? Were you
We
able
had
to do it before that
no,
and figure out like
five open before private equity.
that's amazing?
Yeah,
And like what made you decide to go to those cities? Because they were cities, or what? I mean, that's a big
figured out
jump,
which
right? I mean,
we just now we have like these fancy websites, and some guy in Baltimore was like, I remember he worked for Under Armour. He's like, it'd be perfect here. All right, like, hey, we should look at Baltimore. We found a space, and he's like, I'll bring my friends and give you that core clientele early. I was from Philadelphia, so I wanted to go to Philadelphia.
get back home. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Chicago always just felt good. Cold weather city, big golf community, big drinking and sports community. So it's a lot of feel. I mean, it's one thing, if you have a liquor store, a McDonald's, you can look at all these metrics and you'll get a pretty good idea of where you should go. And even larger, like if you're a Lululemon at this point, like where you should go, right? For us, that in some ways kind of invented this category of what we're trying to do. It's not obvious where we should go. It's still to this day is not obvious where we should go and shouldn't go. So certainly back then it was kind of, one friend had a pretty good gut about a city. It was kind of like, all right, let's
That
go
makes
over
sense.
there.
Yeah, like let's go there. That makes sense. I
Totally.
mean,
And like,
so did you just pick cities that were like winter cities, like you would open one in Miami right away or something like that, right? Because like
yeah,
it'd be or Phoenix
we
because
didn't
like
know,
well
we do think that they can work well there, but certainly
not
we
yet.
picked the
Yeah.
places where there's just more white space, and it felt like there was going to be that seasonality, which is nice. But
Was there competition for you guys in New York? Were you like the first to do this in New York?
I mean, I would say there were a couple mom and pop kind of places, but nothing really to the scale that we do it.
Not a brand, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, look, like similar to Top Golf, but also not similar at all. But there were driving ranges before Top Golf. There obviously still are driving ranges, but they kind of professionalized and commercialized, built a brand around it, built some consistency. We
It's
obviously
cool.
have a long way to go, but I feel like we have elements of that for sure.
Listen, I mean, I'm in your guys' website. I mean, I wish you guys had one here. I'd go there and hang out. Like I think it's cool as hell. I mean,
Well,
there's nothing like this in Phoenix. There's
I
not. I
know.
mean, I know Troon's probably gonna open up something here with their thing, what they're trying to do, and I'm surprised X Golf's not here either. You guys aren't here yet, but I mean, I can see it in Scottsdale for sure. Like just because people already, it's a maybe blow up totally.
No, for sure. I think, look, we just launched franchising. It took about 2 years to get there, and
That's a
now
huge step. That's a lot
it's
of work.
huge, a huge step. Took so much time and energy. It's really exciting. I mean, there's been so much interest. It's absolutely wild, and been awesome. But now it sort of opens the door for we have so many people say like, hey, you'd kill it in Scottsdale. Now it's kind of like, all right, Paul, like go open
open one there.
Yeah, go do it. We can do it. And
or someone listen to the show.
I think not that this is for me to be pitchy and salesy, but I think there's certainly the XGolfs of the world and whatnot who sort of just do franchising. We like only now after 23 locations, like corporate locations, are we opening franchising. So like we've seen a lot and learned a lot just from that operational side of things. And
that's a lot. If you think about it, that's a lot. And it's like you opened up 23 in the New York area. I mean, you opened up 23 across the United States. So yeah, it's not like you've seen it all.
We've seen and learned a lot about like how to build a bag storage room or like this member offering or how to run leagues and things like that. And I think those lessons and obviously the savings with the vendors and all that stuff, it just makes it a really compelling offer. And honestly, if there was anything like that when we had opened, I would have gone that route. But it's really exciting to get to this point. And now it's, if anyone listening wants to open in Scottsdale, they can potentially do it, which is pretty cool.
You guys opened up one in Vegas, right?
Yep.
Where's that one at in Vegas?
It's in Area 15, which is this experiential retail wild concept where we're kind of the most normal thing in there, if that makes any sense. There's Meow Wolf, where they have this supermarket where nothing's real and you touch it, and it's very
oh, I've heard of that place. Yeah. I heard it's really cool. Like,
yeah,
art stuff, like cool, like yeah. My buddy went to that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you've really grown a lot. I mean, this is only what 2023, and your first location was open in what you said 17.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. So there's how many locations right now?
Yeah, we should have like 23 by the end of the first quarter of the year, just a couple, even by the end of this year, but we'll see, under construction and things like that. And then we have a ton of interest in franchising. And then for next year, we'll do a couple more corporate locations, but really focus on making sure that the franchisees are getting what they want from us, marketing, operations, as we launch into that, just making sure that it's not in like the 5-iron way where we just make sure that they're taken care of and treated like a corporate store almost in terms of the resources and whatnot we're giving them.
So when did you guys open up franchising? Like now? Like this
like
recently?
Last week, like 2 weeks ago, we opened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
It was pretty awesome. We got some good publicity with it and all that stuff. But yeah, it's super exciting. I think it's a really compelling offering, and so far the interest has been good.
I mean, it's kind of cool because, like you said, it's like you already have all these locations that are corporate owned and run, and you already have it figured out. And now you're just like, look, if you want to if you guys open your own location, cool. Like we will give you all the infrastructure you need to do it, the background, the story, everything you need. We've already figured it out. So go ahead, open up one in San Jose, or open up one in LA, or open up one wherever. We don't care. I mean, you do care, but
everything from like the marketing collateral to the operational experience to how to do a build out and not screw it up and have it. We've seen so many indoor places where they screwed up on the build out. It's tough to come back from that. If the ceilings aren't high enough, or the sims aren't wide enough, or the wiring's done poorly, or the AV's done poorly from the beginning, or the whatever it is, you're using the wrong launch monitor to begin with. It's not that you have to use TrackMan, but certainly we can do pretty good things with that stuff. But yeah, it's like I said, a pretty good value proposition to do it that way. And I think it saves a lot of even how you do accounting and things like that, right? Just to help with, what this books like. It's just, it's pretty cool. And it's awesome because you go into it thinking like, is this worth it for the franchisees? And you want to make sure it's something that's good. Like everyone's winning. And at this point, I'm very convinced that we're offering a lot of value, even the technology from the app to the booking software that we're building. I mean, we're investing.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, we're going to give you like it's like you're advanced, right? It's not like, oh yeah, open up a location, we're gonna show you how to make it and how to put some sims in there, and then we'll give you some collateral and you figure it out. It's like, look, we have a whole infrastructure in place. Like you're just part of the infrastructure now.
Totally. And we're spending $1 bazillion on this app and whatnot. They're gonna be able to check in, store your stats.
I mean, look at PopStroke. Like PopStroke, they opened the one up in Phoenix, and it or near It's in the West Valley, which is stupid in my opinion because it's West Valley. But they opened it by the football field, right? And then right before the Super Bowl, it opened. So then it was like the place to go to, and it was packed. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna make a fortune over here, And it's like people just want to have fun, I think. And I think if you want to open up the golf to more people, you got to have these kind of places. You just do, And golf's expensive as hell. Like if you want to go to a golf course and go play, it's expensive. So it's like, why not? You don't need to go spend all that money. Go to 5-iron, go have fun, or go get a lesson, or go do something else. You can still enjoy the game.
Even the public courses around here, just because the demand of golf has blown up, and there are only so many tee times. You'd be amazed by your.
Well, it's happening too. I don't know if it's happening out there, but out here, it's like everything's becoming very privatized. So like you get these big buying groups, right? And they're buying all these courses, and it's part of like True owns one, and then there's another one. What's the name of those company? I can't think of the name.
Or Club Corp probably owns.
Yeah, one of they own 200 clubs, and they just buy them up, and then you become a member of the system, I guess, and you can get discounts. But it's expensive. It's like it's $100 a month, and it's like it only gives you $30 off your tee time. It's like, bro, like I gotta play golf 5 times to pay for this membership.
Yeah,
you get free range balls. Oh wow, I'd save $10. But I mean, it's that. I think Mickelson sold all of his groups to one of he had a bunch of courses here, and he sold them all to one of those big companies last year. But golf's expensive. That's I think what's cool about the technology and what you guys are offering is one, you're in cities, right, where a lot of people don't have. I mean, in Chicago, it's like there's not many golf courses in downtown, right? So it's like, so what does the future hold for you guys? Like, what do you guys want to do? You guys want to just be all over across the United States? You said you opened up some in Europe already, or you said India, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that golf has this unique opportunity to really explode, and we've seen the seeds of it in the United States, and there's just so much more room to go, especially domestically and internationally, to be honest. But yeah, franchising and partnerships is really exciting. Just building more locations, and I think for us, really improving the whole experience around it, the gaming element of it, the sports betting, all that stuff is really something that's exciting that we can do. But yeah, I think just getting the word out there that golf is fun, which sounds so crazy. I mean, I bring up this all the time. If I'm like, hey, do you want to play darts, Paul, or go play ping pong? You're like, I'm not a ping pong player. I'm not a darter or whatever that person's called. But with golf, it's like, oh no, I'm not a golfer. Like you get that all the time, even for corporate events. Like, oh, I'm not a golfer. I don't want to show up or something like that. And it's just like there's this stigma of this, like you're either a golfer or a non-golfer that's so stupid that we need to get away from. Like if we were,
they say I'm not that good. It's like, bro, none of us are good.
Yeah,
like
you would never say that. It was
like, golf.
It was like, hey, do you want to go bowling Saturday, Paul? Your response would be like, I'm not that good at bowling. Like you just never would say, like nobody cares.
I want those nasty ass shoes on my feet. Sorry.
Yeah, like anyone really cares how good you are at bowling to have a fun time at bowling or ping pong or something like that. So I think just destigmatizing it and having a different version of success, like so much of golf success just feels tied to like, did the ball go in the hole? What score did you shoot? Versus like, how far did you hit it, or did you make good contact, or some other version of
success. One good shot all day, or do you have fun with your kids, or I don't know, yeah. I think we all play golf for different reasons. I mean, it's not just the score, and I think it's it's part of the game. But
yeah, I mean, Topgolf talks about shot euphoria and creating that shot euphoria, and you can do that at making your first putt at Pop Stroke, or hitting it on one of the targets at Topgolf or something like that, or 5-iron when you knock down the wizard or something like that in one of the games and some graphic pops up. Like all that shot euphoria, I mean, that's what gets people coming back and getting into the game and matriculating into the whole golf ecosystem.
No, I totally agree. So have you guys done any collabs with other brands?
Yeah, we just are announcing a big one. So I don't know if I should
announce it. If it's not ready, then announce it.
I don't want to. I think it's done. I don't know if I should break it here. We just did a big event with the Doing Things guys, Bob Does Sports, and the.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for something there with that we're really excited about. Talking to a few other brands about doing things as well. So hopefully some some good stuff. And then obviously Callaway owns 20% of 5-iron, so we're close with like the Travis Matthew guys and OGO and all that stuff. So hopefully there's some cool,
That's cool
stuff going on there. Yeah,
a lot of stuff. I mean, that's awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are. It's like a rocket about to take off on a launch pad, right? Like you've already like you're just. It's like getting ready to go, and then once it goes, it's gonna go like crazy.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
If not, I can go back to Wall Street.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna take a long nap, I think is what I'm gonna do. So, but no, we're trying. It's fun. There's competition coming, I'm sure, and all that stuff. But overall, I think it's really good for the sport, and accessibility to a sport that's been really exclusive is a fun story to be part of.
No, I think it's cool. And then you're opening up more locations, like you said, and it's going to be like the more you can open it up to people, the more they can enjoy it and get to know the game a different way than just some stuffy old man sport.
Totally.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Where can people find 5-iron golf?
Yeah, I would say go to 5irongolf.com. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the usual places, and then come visit us. DM me, mention this podcast. I'll throw a free hour or some beer on your account or something like that. And
look at that.
Yeah.
Just say you listen to Jared. He'll hook you up.
Yeah.
DM me. I know Jared.
Jared B. Solomon on Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, tell me you're going to 5-iron. I'll send you some free things.
Take a picture of him at 5-iron. You'd be like, okay, well, we'll take care of you. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, and I will see you guys in the next episode.